Well guys, it is now time for the next MTWS Top 10 events of each season, as we're now about to cover the 2011 MTWS season. And this is the first season where all the details are all written down and all the tracks have pictures. So we can actually see the track and we can actually look up the stats and all that and such. So it's good to finally know that this will be the way for the rest of this video series. So let's get to what I think are the top 10 best events of the 2011 MTWS season. So number 10 is Miami on October 9th of 2011. In this U-turn style track, it was a very surprising as Night Stalker, a rookie, would get the number 1 qualifier. How about that? That was very impressive, as especially since it rained in the event, and that was the only time it and Madness, who was number 2, had good times. Everyone else struggled because they had to deal with the rain in comparison. However, of course, once the rain dried out for racing, Night Stalker, of course, would go one and done to fellow rookie Stinger, and in the finals, it would be Blood Rage going up against Power Forward, and Power Forward would get the win, of course, on its road to becoming the eventual 2011 Racing Champion in a wild photo finish. Then we got to Freestyle. Stinger started off with Freestyle and had a wild run, but the judges didn't think so and only got a 22. Crazy Bull came out, got 19. Crush Run came out, got 21. Night Stalker got 24. Yeet Plunder came out, got 21. Not a lot of high scoring so far. Madness came out, but flipped early and only got 21. Eruption came out, got 25. Blaine came out early and got 12. Doesn't sound like it so far being top 10. But Blood Rage came out, got 27. Prowler got 26, got a good run, and finally starting to pick up a little bit. Destroyer came out, had a great run to take the lead with a 30. Power Forward came out to go for a double down and had an amazing run to take the lead with a 33. Wild Ride came out, got 28. Mad Dog, the former champion, came out next, but Flipper only got an 8, a 13. And with that, Power Forward got the 5th ever double down in MTWS history. So, racing was good. Freestyle was good, although it had a slow start, and this was enough to get into the top 10. Alright, now number 9 is Washington, D.C. on September 25th, 2011. Just a few weeks earlier than Miami, as this also is the last time MTWS has gone to D.C. As Power Forward, once again, like I mentioned earlier, began its 2011 run for the title with a great time and got the number 1 qualifying time, as Shadow was second by just 0.03 of a second off. And a big track too, as you can see. U-turn style racing, but a big track with double, big bus stack, 2 van stacks out there, and that jammer, which was like one of the first times we were using it too, because the jammer made its debut in 2011. Racing was really great, as Power Forward made it all the way to the finals, where it would go up against the eventual freestyle runner-up Turbo Blaze, and it would get the racing victory as well for Power Forward, as it had an incredible start to the year and had to beat Crusher twice in racing because of the buys in racing. And in round 1, we even had Nitro beating the former racing champion Outlaw, which would be like the beginning of the rivalry in that league. And this was also Power Forward's first ever win too in racing. Alright, but then we get the freestyle. Seismic Crush came out, got 21. Crush Run came out, got 23. Patriot came out, got 25. Aquatic Beast came out and got 25 with Patriot to tie for the lead. Crusher came out and got 24. Power Forward came out going for a double down, but flipped too early on the bus deck, but got 25, so there was a freeway tie now. Terra Voltage came out, got 24. Turbo Blaze came out, got 27 to take the lead. Fireball came out, had a great run to take the lead with a 30. Nitro, who the year before came out, had the worst freestyle of its career with a 6 in last year's event DC, came out on fire with a wild run to take the lead with a 34. Then came out Shatter, who had an amazing run and took the lead with a 35, and last up was the defending freestyle champion Outlaw, who flopped and only got 16. So, again, great racing results. Power Forward got its first ever racing win. Shatter won freestyle, and a very high scoring event here in DC. Hopefully we'll come back there one day soon. Alright, number 8 is St. Louis, November 13th, 2011. In a track that would look very similar to what we will be using next week when we're live in San Diego. Eliminator got the number 1 qualifier in a surprise to everyone, as Power Forward, who was dominating all year, was second place by 0.02 of a second. Thunderbolt and Impala actually went against each other in qualifying, and Thunderbolt flipped and got a penalty on its pass. Absolutely embarrassing. And it was going to get eliminated by Eliminator in round 1, really ruining its chances tonight. And in the finals, it ended up being Predator, having a really surprising appearance, going up against the rookie Crush and Run, who also is having a dominant season after it just beat Power Forward in the semifinals to win another race this year. Dominant run so far for the rookie, just like Power Forward had in 2011. Alright, after that, Crush and Run start off freestyle with a double down and got 23. The Monster Racer came out and flipped early and only got an 8. Blink came out, got 25 to take the lead. Prowler came out but flipped early and only got a 16. Predator came out right afterwards and got 27 to take the lead with 3 saves. And remember, this is MTM2, so saves were much harder to get back then. And of course, after that, Madness came out and got a 30 in its hometown to take the lead, so good for it. Destroyer came out, got 28. Impala came out with an amazing run that took the lead with a 34. Thunderbolt came back after having terrible luck all year, and it ended up flipping early again and only got a 9. Just a horrible week for Thunderbolt in St. Louis. Power Forward came out and had a great run, but flipped early and got 28. Eliminator came out and only got 29. Last Up was crazy, trying to beat a 34 from Impala, and would have an amazing run, and would just take the lead with a 35 to get the win here in St. Louis. So more great racing results and great freestyle and high score and such. Alright, number 7 is Houston, September 18th, 2011. In a wild setup, as this was the default racing setup on the Houston model I had on MTM2 back then. It was some strange racing setup. It started off like U-turn, then turned into like some weird variation of St. Louis where they cross over into each other's lanes, kind of like Tokyo style racing. Now I think of it, it does remind me a lot of Tokyo style racing, although I did not think of it at the time, and this was not the inspiration for it. But yeah, I used the exact racing setup pretty much at the time, and I think that Van Stack actually had a camper in it too, because I started editing obstacles more back then. But a pretty small track in comparison back then and such. But anyways, Shatter would get the number 1. Actually, no, it was Badass, the rookie, that got the number 1 qualifier. Very impressive in its rookie debut, as Eruption was number 2 and such, as a whole bunch of trucks struggling qualifying. And Badass would win race round 1 against Terror Voltage, but would lose to Shatter in the end, who would go on to make it all the way to the finals. Had to beat Badass twice because Badass came back with a penalty, fast loser, where it would face Eruption in the finals, and it would get the win and such in a photo finish. So then freestyle started off with Badass, who flipped after only using 25 seconds and only got an 11. Shadowrun, another rookie, came out, only got a 19. Crazy Bull came out, got 24. The Monster Racer came out, got 21. Eruption came out, struggled a lot on the track, and only got a 19. Bling got a 25. Destroyer came out and had a wild run in its hometown to get a 28 to take the lead. Terror Voltage came out, got 26. Turbo Blaze came out and tied the lead with Destroyer with a 28. Impala came out and had a great run and got a 30. Thunderbolt came out and had an amazing run and took a big lead as it shot up with a 34. And last up was Shatter, who was going for the double down, who was having a wild run, but then it had a wild flip off one of the Van Stacks early and cost it, as it only got a 15, prevent it from getting a double down, as Thunderbolt would get the freestyle win here. Again, more great race results and good freestyle results. Alright, number 6 is Indianapolis, December 11th, 2011. Funny fact, this event in Indianapolis would also have an event on this exact date 11 years later in 2022, which is wild. And funny enough, I actually went to the Colts-Ravens game this day in 2011 too. And of course, I had to reference the Colts almost going 0-16 in 2011. Their loss against the Ravens that day would be the last loss before they would beat the Titans the next week. It was actually a pretty small track in comparison too, since the Lucas Oil Stadium mile was really small. It was U-turn style racing with just a step up, a garbage truck stack, and a van stack. I think there was a van stack on the other side too, but I don't think I took a picture of it because I was an idiot back then. But yeah, Predator shocked everyone by getting the number 1 qualifier, and the Monster Racer also surprised everyone by getting the number 2 qualifier. So yeah, Predator of course would go one and done to the really good racer Power Forward, as it charged all the way up, making it to the finals where it would face Destroyer. And what an interesting matchup. It would be Destroyer winning racing, as it would get its, I believe, its first racing win ever. And I think this would be its last, or one of its last racing wins until this last few months ago in Miami. That's how long it's been since it won. Now, freestyle was all over the place. The Monster Racer started off freestyle and got a 24. Crazy came out, but kept getting stuck in everything and wasting time, so it only got a 21. Predator came out and got a 28 to take the lead. Blaine came out and got a 25. Destroyer came out going for a double down, had a wild run with its famous Cyclones as it took the lead with a 30. Impala came out but flipped early to only get a 13. Power 4 came out and had a great run to get revenge on Destroyer as it took the lead with a 35. Thunderbolt came out but flipped only got a 31. Eliminator came out and only got a 30. Crazy came out last and had one of its more infamous moments in MTWS, where it had a wild run until it slammed into one of the barriers, the dumpsters on one of the ends. It was shut down for half a minute to figure out, is it safe enough to go again? And it was able to fire back up, but it really couldn't do anything, and eventually it went up the backside of the step up and ended up getting stuck on top of it to end up freestyle and only got a 28. So Destroyer would win a very rare racing win. It would probably be its last win in like 13 years. Power Forward got a freestyle win, and I believe this was the last time Power Forward won anything until no, it won freestyle in Jacksonville, that's right. So yeah, one of its last wins until it won its racing title 2 months later. So a great event in Indianapolis despite the small track. Alright, so now, off to the next part, the top 5. Number 5 is Las Vegas, October 30th, 2011. One of the most hyped of regular season events of all time at that point. Our first debut in Vegas after having the championship just earlier in the year for the 2010 season on my 18th B-Day, and the first event in Vegas, it was insane. Kind of like a preview of B-Day World Finals 3 that never happened and such, because they even had my 18th B-Day message on the track like I did for B-Day World Finals. And it was a big track too at the time with that huge like center jump that was from World Finals 3 and such. And Nitro, just like in the championship event back in February, would get the number 1 qualifier easily, as Impala got number 2 and such. Unfortunately, there were a lot of problems in qualifying and racing, as Wild Ride in qualifying and Outlaw in racing would both slam the wall coming out of Thunder Alley, and they would end up breaking their tires, destroying their front and rear ends, and that caused Wild Ride and Outlaw to not be able to compete in freestyle, which sucked for Outlaw, because remember, it won the freestyle title here back in February, so it wanted to put up a great run for the Vegas crowd. But Nitro continued to show why it was the dominant truck after winning the racing title the year before, as it would make it all the way to the finals once again, where it would beat Shatter to win another race to show why it's the defending race champion, and continue the streak that it had from the championship, where the first 4 events in Vegas it competed in, it was 16-0. As this is like halfway mark in that regard. It beat Shatter by 700ths of a second in a photo finish. It was insane. Shadowrun started off freestyle, but ended up flipping on one of the back and got a skywheel in the racing lane, flipped over like Avenger in Pontiac 2001 and only got a 19. Badass came out and had a great run, but flipped too early and only got a 25 off the double. Stinger came out and got a 24. Eruption, the hometown Eruption, after struggling the first time, beforehand, throughout the year, had, at the time, its greatest freestyle run ever. Had an incredible run, hit everything out there, full throttle. I think had a wild flip at the end, and it got a 34 to take the lead. Crazy Bull came out and got a 22. Flying Falcon came out and got a 27. Impala came out for a great run, only got a 29. Terror Voltage came out and got a 25. Turbo Blaze came out and got a 27. Thunderbolt had a wild run, but it wasn't enough as it only got a 30. Nitro came out going for the double down. I think it struggled out there because it also was debuting its Canada Nitro body as well in this event, and it only got a 29. Shatter came out with an amazing run but flipped early and fell short with a 32. Crazy came out, flipped early, and only got a 28. And last up was Mad Dog, who also flipped early with a 20. So yeah, with that, Eruption would get its first freestyle title, first freestyle win, and I think its first win overall, in a very impressive performance in front of its hometown crowd, as it put up a hard-fought competition with other elite trucks. The only thing that sucked about this event, of course, was Wild Ride and Outlaw not competing, but it was still a very impressive event. Alright, number 4 is Cincinnati, December 18th, 2011. The second to last regular season event, and it was U-turn style racing with a whole bunch, every obstacle pretty much having an AFC North reference, the boss stack being Ravens, van stack being Steelers, the race lanes being the Browns, and the Bengals representing the double right there in the middle. Had an odd van stack, which is the American flag, which haven't used before in that event. It was really difficult to paint, and of course a hill I used as well. Pretty big track for such a tight area and such, and Crusher, the hometown truck, would get #1 qualifier, just edging out the defending racing champion Nitro. And funny enough, Turbo Blaze and Terravolt's team Pokemon trucks went up against each other too, and such. And also after that, looking at the results, the finals ended up being Nitro going up against Eliminator, and Nitro won to win racing. Its last racing win as a defending champion at the time. And freestyle, oh boy, we got a lot of stuff for freestyle. So the Monster Racer started off freestyle and got a 25. Patriot came out afterwards and got a 20. Aquatic Beast came out and flipped early and only got a 20. It was a slow start to freestyle, but Crusher came out with a great run for the hometown crowd and ended up getting stuck in the American flag themed van stack. It got stuck in there. It ended up taking the lead with a 29, and it became an obstacle. So now everyone was probably gunning for Crusher. Fireball came out right... No, not Fireball. Predator came out right afterwards. It got 28. Terra Voltage came out and had a great run to get a 30 to take the lead. Turbo Blaze came out but flipped too early and only got a 27. Fireball came out and had a great run with a 28. Eliminator came out and had a wild run and took the lead with a 32. And at this point, no one still went for Crusher yet. Everyone avoided the van stack at all costs. Then the infamous stuff came out. Nitro, the last truck came out. No, not the last truck. It came out for freestyle and had a great run and took the lead with a 34 and didn't hit Crusher again, like I said. Shatter came out but flipped early and only got 22. Crazy came out to wrap up freestyle but flipped early and only got 20. Nitro, of course, doubled down. Almost got the sweep, too, if it wasn't for Crusher, believe it or not. But as Nitro was celebrating, Crazy was flipped back over and decided, you know what, I'm not satisfied yet. I'm flipping early and such. So, flip back over. It crawled over the hill, and then just what we were hoping to see, since no one did in freestyle, it smashed into the back of Crusher, into the van stack, and ended up getting stuck on top of Crusher to wrap up the night. What a beautiful sight it was. Absolutely insane. Especially how Infamous 2, after getting stuck in Indianapolis on the step up the previous week in Indianapolis, it did this in Cincinnati. Insane, and this would be the last time MTWS went to Cincinnati until 2022. An absolutely wild event. And if this was insane enough, just wait, we still got top 3 still. Alright, so now number 3 is Atlanta, September 11th, 2011. The 10th anniversary of 9/11, so I had to paint the double American flag theme. I used a bunch of obstacles from Monster Jam's Atlanta 2010 event, that center jump and the van stack, used a jammer, and it was Chicago style racing, and of course American flag colored cars on one end and Falcons colored cars on the other end. And this was also the debut of Blood Rage's new body that debuted after its first show in 2010 with the Falcons theme too. So anyways, qualifying ended with crush and run, just like it did in the season opener in Orlando. Got the #1 qualifying time. Predator was right behind by 200 of a second. That was wild. And Blood Rage, who won racing hometown Atlanta last year, screwed up and ended up getting second to last in qualifying, which really hurt, especially when it went one and done to Predator in round 1. Terrible debut for Blood Rage's new design in its hometown. But racing continued on, and we saw the dominance of the year as it was crush and run. The rookie truck making the finals for a second time, as it would have to go up against Power Forward, as they were ready to go at it. The two trucks that would have great showings this year, and it ended up being crush and run, getting its first ever racing win in just a second time. Insane. So then we get to freestyle, as G Plunder started off with a great run and it got a 26. Crush and Run came out but flipped early on its double down attempt to only get a 22. Night Stalker came out and got a 23. Aquatic Beast flipped on the double on its first hit and only got a 4. Power Forward came out and had an amazing run as it took the lead with a 30. Then it would be Prowler come out and only getting a 28. Predator came out but flipped early and only got a 19. Blood Rage, after having such a horrible night so far, would have a great run, going for the double, getting some huge momentum as it got a 32 to take the lead. Wild Ride came out and had a great run, only got a 28 though. Eliminator had a great run, but only got a 30. Crazy came out, flipped on a wheelie and slammed into the wall and only got a 4, which I think is actually a clip too on YouTube as well. And then last up was Mad Dog, who had a wild run but flipped early and only got a 26. So, great event it was. Racing was great, and freestyle was wild as Blood Rage won freestyle and such. Great night for it, and Crush and Run as well. Alright, number 2, Foxboro, October 2nd, 2011. As this was a great event, once again Chicago-style racing. This event was the closest to having a dream I've always wanted. I don't think I've ever mentioned this. I've always wanted an MTWS event where none of the trucks flip. I want one event where every truck goes out there, does its best, and doesn't flip. And this was the closest, as it went all the way down to the final truck before it happened. So, of course, qualifying began with a weird thing as we had fog. I think it was the first time there was fog in MTWS history, but it cleared up right after the first qualifying matchup, and Crusher would get the number 1 qualifier as Fireball was right behind with a 2190. Shatter and Nitro struggling qualifying, and then in racing it would rain until the semifinals, so really mess up trucks in racing, as it would be a sloppy event. We had Outlaw and Nitro race each other in a wild one, but Outlaw would get the win and such. And then the finals would be Shatter going up against Outlaw in a classic matchup, and Outlaw would win just like it won racing the year before here in Foxboro. So then Seismic Crush started off freestyle and had an infamous moment where it had a wheelie off one obstacle and then it wheelied up the the van stack, and came out on its rear end in a weird wheelie. It was really cool, and it helped start off freestyle by getting a 23. Then Patriot came out and took the lead with a 25. Crusher came out and had a wild run, surprisingly, took the lead with a 27. Terror Voltage came out right afterwards and got a 25. Turbo Blaze came out and took the lead with a 28. Fireball came out and ended up getting a 28 to tie Crusher. Then Nitro came out and had the wildest run of its career at the time, as the former freestyle runner-up too, and took the lead with a 36. Shatter came out with a great run but flipped early and only got a 31, and that's the closest we got. Actually, I could have swore we had a closer run, and that was like the last run. This is not the last one, but it was the only truck that tonight that flipped, and it sucks. It was so close to get my dream of not having trucks that flipped. And then last up was Outlaw, trying to double down become the first truck to double down the same event 2 years in a row. It had a great run. It went for 3 minutes and such, but it was just 1 point short of getting a double down as it got a 35 and Nitro held on. A dominant freestyle, dominant racing, probably one of the cleanest freestyles ever. Like I said, only 1 truck flipped, Shatter, and it was the second to last truck of the night. Man, I hope one day, just one day, can I have just one goal? Just give me one event where no truck flips. I've always wanted that, and I fell so close and never came close since 11 years later. Alright, and now here we go. The number 1 greatest event of the 2011 MTWS season is Orlando, August 24th, 2011, and the season opener of the 2011 season. Like, this is obviously no surprise. I went out big time on this track too, as new center jump was used, new tanker stack, new tire ramp, and of course that semi-trailer stack, which was my first attempt at doing a backflip in MTWS, but it didn't work out, so I had to use it as like a regular semi-trailer, and it would become a backflip the next year and such. And what a wild night it was, as Crush and Run. It rained too throughout the event as well, regularly all throughout the event. And Crush and Run, the rookie truck, would get the number 1 qualifier in a stunner, the fastest time of the night, and Blood Rage was number 2. Predator and Flying Falcon were also top 4 as well. That was insane. And in qualifying, Outlaw and Nitro on the random draw would race each other, the 2 racing champions, and Outlaw would get that and such. And a whole bunch of trucks struggled in qualifying because it was raining and such. But anyways, racing. Oh my goodness. You had Crush and Run make it all the way to the finals in a stunner and such. Although it did have help with an easier slate of field to go after, as it would have to go up against Nitro, the defending racing champion, in the finals. And on the first pass, and this track also was Vegas into St. Louis, on the first jump, Crush and Run actually had the lead. It was actually leading the defending race champion at the time. However, in the final turn where they were still tied up, Crush and Run struggled and got a little squirrely coming out of the final turn, and that cost it as Nitro would hold on for the win. In a dominant performance, Nitro would win the first race as the defending racing champion. Crush and Run got off a good start to its career before it would go on to make the finals in 2012 and then win it all in 2014. But that was racing. We still had freestyles. All rookie trucks start off freestyle. Shall Run started off and only got a 17. Badass came out but flipped early, sliding off the race lane, got a 15. The Monster Racer came out and had a great run and got 22. Crush and Run, after making the finals, came out and got 21. Night Stalker came out and had a good run and got 23, and I think was the first one to actually go for the semi-trailer, too. I think. Not the backside, but going for the ramp side and cleared it. And then Seismic Crush came out and got a 19. Stinger came out and got a 22. Then Yeet Plunder came out and flipped right at time expiring and got a 21. Predator came out, had a wild finish, and ended up flipping on its roof and got a 25, which took the lead. Power Forward came out, but flipped early on its very first move going for a trailer and got only a 4. Prowler came out and got stuck in between obstacles and only got a 20, so it was done there. Flying Falcon came out and had a wild run to get a 26. Blood Rage came out and got a 23 in its last run in its old paint before it would get updated a few weeks later in Atlanta. Hometown Truck Wild Ride would have a great run to get a 27, and I believe the lead now. Terra Voltage came out and got a 24. Turbo Blaze came out and had a wild run, but it wasn't enough to get a 25. Then Nitro came out, going for the double down, had a wild run, was the first one to go for the trailer, went up and over it, got huge air on all the obstacles as it would get a 31 and the lead. Then Crazy came out and went absolutely insane with a wild flip at the end off the van stack to take the lead with a 35. Mad Dog came out but flipped too early on the trailer stack and only got 7. Last up was the defending freestyle champion Outlaw, who went off with an insane run, and it finished, I think it went over 4 minutes in its run too, and ended up tying Crazy with the lead and the win with a 35. How fitting too. It was just like the last event in the 2010 championship. Nitro wins racing, gets a 31 freestyle, and is runner-up to Outlaw and someone else who got a 35 by the exact same score. Insane. And that, my friends, is the best event, I think, of the 2011 season. The season opener in Orlando. Crush and Run began its debut with a wild show and make it to the finals and almost beating defending racing champion Nitro. Nitro won racing. Freestyle was insane with Crazy and Outlaw tying with the win. Alright guys, so that wraps up this video. My top 10 2011 MTW seasons. See you all next time when we get to 2012.